From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 7, streaming now.
And thanks for joining us here at 7 o'clock. I'm Mark Mullins. Let's talk about the weekend. We're in for a pleasant night for high school football. But what about the next couple of days? Let's check in with Kevin Gregory for the outlook there. Hey, Kevin.
And Mark, I'm ready to have the conversation about our Friday night and the weekend. Friday night looking good, feeling good. Of course, the skies aren't perfectly clear, but the veil of cloud cover with some sunshine on the horizon. 74 in Indianapolis at this hour. Kokomo's at 73. So for those at high school football games, it's comfortable. I show you the radar. We won't need it tonight or most of tomorrow. It's later in the day tomorrow that our thunderstorm chances will increase. We'll go into that in more detail during my main weather, but it'll increase in western Indiana first. Temperatures this evening drop into the lower 70s as the high school games come to an end. 7:59 is when the sun sets, now before 8 p.m. Wind will begin to calm down, and I think that sets the stage with some breaks in the cloud cover for patchy fog overnight into Saturday. Here's your forecast as we work our way through the hourly forecast tomorrow. Temperature hits 85, little more humidity than we had today, about 9-10 degrees warmer than we were as well today. I'll zero in on the evening thunderstorm chances. We'll do that, and then the changes that arrive for Sunday and early next week coming up.
The moment of silence and the names of those killed in the Twin Towers being read aloud. It's now been 19 years since the attacks of September 11, 2001. Ceremonies were held in New York City, the Pentagon, and in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, where United Airlines Flight 93 went down. In Indianapolis, the mayor, the fire chief, and other leaders gathered for the traditional 9/11 Memorial Mass. Due to the pandemic, the Mass was celebrated outdoors this year at the Firefighters Union Hall on Mass Ave. The Mass honors the lives of the 343 firefighters who were killed while responding to the attacks in New York.
We're reminded that you live out that call every day. You show up in the middle of the night. You show up when someone's in crisis. You show up and help them.
The Firefighters Emerald Society also presented a donation to the 9/11 Run Foundation for its fundraiser to benefit the families of fallen firefighters. As 9/11 falls less than 2 months before the presidential election, Democratic candidate Joe Biden attended the ceremony at Ground Zero in New York, exchanging an elbow bump with Vice President Mike Pence. ABC's Karen Travers explains what happened next.
President Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden were both in the critical battleground state of Pennsylvania today, but there were no campaign events on this 9/11 anniversary.
With just 53 days until Election Day, a campaign pause as the nation marked the 19th anniversary of the September 11th attacks. President Trump and the First Lady on board Air Force One holding a moment of silence at 8:46 a.m., marking the time the first plane hit the World Trade Center. The president was on his way to Shanksville, Pennsylvania, where United Airlines Flight 93 crashed into a field on this day, killing the 40 passengers and crew on board.
The First Lady and I come to this hallowed ground, deeply aware that we cannot fill the void in your heart or erase the terrible sorrow of this day.
Former Vice President Joe Biden telling reporters Friday morning that today is not a day for politics.
I'm not going to talk about anything other than 9/11. We took all our advertising down. It's a solemn day. That's how we're going to keep it.
The former vice president traveled to New York City for a ceremony at the 9/11 memorial. There, he greeted Vice President Mike Pence with an elbow bump and later shared an emotional moment with an elderly woman who showed him a photo of the 43-year-old son she lost on this day 19 years ago. Biden reflected on losing his son, Beau, telling the woman,
Never goes away.
Biden and his wife Jill later traveled to Shanksville to pay respects to the victims of Flight 93.
Both Joe Biden and President Trump will hold town hall meetings with voters in Pennsylvania next week. President Trump's will be on ABC on Tuesday. Karen Travers, ABC News, Washington.
Less than 2 months to go until Election Day. New concerns about foreign election interference in the upcoming presidential election. Microsoft says it detected and stopped a series of cyber attacks launched by hackers in Russia, China, and Iran. The attacks allegedly targeted people associated with both the Trump and Biden campaigns. This happening as the former chief intelligence officer for the Department of Homeland Security, is now coming forward to claim that he was ordered to stop producing intelligence reports on Russian interference in the 2020 election, in part because it made the president look bad. Brian Murphy says instead he was instructed to start reporting on activities from China and Iran, which he believed posed a lesser threat. President Trump has been emphasizing both of those countries.
You started off with Russia. Why don't you start off with China? Do you think China's maybe a bigger threat? I mean, I think maybe it is. I mean, you'll have to figure it out.
According to U.S. intelligence, while China would prefer to see Trump lose, Russia is actively trying to help him win by spreading misinformation about Biden. A new poll shows the race for governor here in Indiana is tighter than it was months ago. Change Research and Indy Politics released a survey of more than 1,000 Hoosiers. The survey shows Republican Governor Eric Holcomb only leading Democratic challenger Woody Myers by 6 percentage points. Holcomb had a 20-point lead in a poll taken back in April. Libertarian candidate Donald Rainwater is also running well at 24%. Change Research says it appears Rainwater is picking up support from some Republicans who are upset with Governor Holcomb's mask mandate and other COVID-19 restrictions. Indiana does not appear to be competitive when it comes to the race for president. A new poll shows that President Trump with a healthy lead over Democratic challenger Joe Biden among Hoosiers who were surveyed. Now to our continuing coverage of the coronavirus and its impact in Indiana. The state health department reports 10 more deaths from coronavirus. 3,196 Hoosiers have now died from COVID-19. More than 103,000 Hoosiers have tested positive for the virus, and more than 1.6 million people have been tested in Indiana, with 8.7% testing positive. Since Black, Latinx, and Native American communities are still disproportionately impacted by COVID-19, faith leaders from those communities are now joining together for a new initiative. The goal is to get accurate and updated information about the virus and clinical trials into minority communities.
To disseminate information that translates what can be, in many instances, the complexities of this virus in a way that allows it to be understood throughout the community, irrespective of levels of education.
We are not here to recruit. We are here to educate, to ensure that whatever decision, whether leaders make and their parishioners make, or and parishioners have their own networks. And so we are really looking at this each one teach one model.
Now, there is varying interest and trust among minorities right now when it comes to clinical trials. Trying to fight food insecurity one garden at a time. Next, how you can help a woman who is using a green thumb to help fill the void of food deserts.
From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 7, streaming now.
Access to fresh, healthy, and affordable food is a challenge for thousands across Indianapolis. One woman is trying to change that for future generations by teaching them to grow and cook their own crops, but she needs help. Our Cameron Riddle takes us into the garden.
Elizabeth Durden spends much of her time with a group of 12 young gardeners, exposing them to fresh food that they can grow and eventually cook themselves, while helping them grow an appreciation for healthy food.
The only thing left is gas stations, convenience stores. They don't have any fresh vegetables, and it's really hard to find them.
Some of Durden's young gardeners have room to grow crops at home, and those who don't split time working in the garden Durden built at the area known as the Mayor's Garden on the west side. For Durden, the issue is getting some of her gardeners there from the east side.
A lot of them don't have transportation. Their parents don't have transportation. There's not really a bus that comes out here, and my car doesn't have the capacity to bring everyone out at the same time, and that would be the ideal.
The good news is Capital City Church of Christ on East 38th Street and Post Road is stepping in to provide land for Durden's East Side gardeners. But after putting thousands of dollars worth of work into the original garden on the west side, Durden needs some help.
I'm looking for assistance with the fencing. Each panel is like $17 a piece, and I'm going to need at least 18 of those to secure it to where I can walk inside of it, to water it, to weed it.
After 5 years of mentoring young gardeners, Durden knows it's a lot of work, but believes the effort will go a long way to exposing the next generation to a healthier life.
I want the kids in my community to actually be able to have fresh vegetables, fresh fruit, and then learn how to cook the vegetables.
Cameron Riddle, WRTV.
If you are interested in helping Durden and her group of younger gardeners, we have information in this story on our website at WRTV.com. Kevin.
Mark, we only raised the bar on one day for our chance of thunderstorms, and that's tomorrow. We'll talk more about the timing and look ahead to the comfort on the way. Coming up.
WRTV is partnering with United Way to support the Central Indiana COVID-19 Community Economic Relief Fund. Tonight, a local organization that helps fathers provide for their families needs some help of its own. They reopened after being closed during the height of the pandemic and soon learned the demand for their services is greater than ever.
What employers know is that confident people are often, not always, but are often competent people as well.
Our primary individuals we serve are the unemployed or underemployed, or those that don't have the education they desire or the work skills they desire. And so those are the individuals that usually inquire. And then also those that just have some parenting questions. We're a fatherhood organization that have other programs to help shore up and support those individuals. And so some guys that may have co-parenting questions or child support issues or child support questions, access and visitation, primarily those guys looking for work.
If you are going to have an interview with anyone, with any company, feel free to reach out to me.
COVID-19 has impacted the way we serve. Historically, we have been an open door agency where men walk in off the streets and their families walk in for services here. Our front door has remained open since the inception of the program. From then, we are 6 classes of doing virtual engagement, from recruitment to workshop class. And what's good is nothing has missed a beat. Nothing's missed a beat. And so we are still able to offer the same services on the camera. The United Way agency SERF funds we received were very beneficial in allowing us to continue serving our population better. The need is still there. It was there pre-COVID, it's here during COVID, and it'll be here post-COVID. We just want to make sure that we were given some stability to a very fluid situation. And so those funds really helped us be able to serve populations and serve them in a more tangible, purposeful way to just make sure that they're there for the lives of those dads are there for the lives of their children.
Well, that story was produced by the Next Generation Initiative, an Indianapolis-based not-for-profit organization that trains young people for careers in media production and digital content creation. Learn more about the Next Generation Initiative in this story at WRTV.com. The NFL season is officially underway. The Colts kick off their season this Sunday, but today the team kicked off a big party downtown on Monument Circle. The Colts held a drive-through swag bag giveaway with fans getting American flags and Colts flags. The season opener in Jacksonville kicks off at 1 o'clock this Sunday. More news and one more check of your forecast is next. You're watching WRTV.
And Mark, it looks like the Colts are going to have several opponents on Sunday. The humidity, the temperature, rain, chances will increase during the game, so it's going to feel more like about 97 degrees when you factor in the humidity down in Florida. Well, for us, we're in the 70s now, and it's a bit on the humid side, but the humidity increases tomorrow. 73 in Peru, 76 right now in Lafayette. A nice night for Friday night football, certainly for the players. It's a little more comfortable. There's a breeze out of the east. Temperatures tonight will fall into the 60s. Our coolest temperatures are to come early next week. Headlines for the weekend. Temperatures warmer both tomorrow and Sunday. The thunderstorm chances increase tomorrow evening and tomorrow night. And then early next week, we'll call it refreshing. 85, your magic number for your Saturday afternoon high temperature with more humidity. Cooler Sunday with falling humidity in the afternoon. As far as our rain chances, notice how as we get to the Late afternoon and evening hours, the rain chance increases. This is for Indianapolis. Western Indiana will happen a little bit earlier in the day, probably after 3 or 4. The shaded area in green represents where there's a marginal or low risk for severe storms. Damaging wind would be the main threat for many of the stronger storms. From 1 o'clock in the afternoon to 4, you see the storms kind of line up in a broken fashion along the Wabash River, Lafayette to Terre Haute. There they are by the time we get to 7 o'clock in the evening. And again, very hit and miss. No guarantee we'll all see rain. These are some of the rainfall potential numbers. You know how thunderstorms work. You can get a half an inch or an inch in an hour's period of time in some of those. But I think in general, don't count on a soaking rain. Wind will change direction out of the southeast, start coming more out of a south direction, 10 to 15 miles per hour. That will increase the temperature. We'll jump to 85 tomorrow afternoon. Some spots a little warmer than that to the south, about 86, as you could see in Bloomington, Bedford, and Seymour. Sunday, if we see any showers, it would be closer to Cincinnati, closer to the state line with Ohio in eastern Indiana. Should pick up some sunshine, 78 the afternoon temperature in Indianapolis. Take a little longer for the cooler, more refreshing air to push all the way through the state. Temperatures as we go into the morning hours, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. The coolest morning Tuesday at 54 degrees. We'll look forward to that. Afternoon high temperatures with lots of sunshine. Monday, Tuesday in the upper 70s. Wednesday, we're back in the low 80s. It's tomorrow night, Saturday night, and then probably Thursday of next week that are our 2 best opportunities for more showers and thunderstorms. I'm going to take a guess and say we'll be right back after this.
We want to remind you that today is the last day of the WRTV fundraising effort to help ensure kids in low-income households have books of their very own. We're asking you to donate to our If You Give a Child a Book campaign. Just go to WRTV.com/giveabook for details on how to donate. 2020 is an unprecedented time in history for all of us, and it's easy to feel overwhelmed with the never-ending amount of opinions and arguments posted online on social media accounts. Ohio State University researchers have found that more than half of Americans have changed their online social media presence in response to events of this year. In fact, 1 in 5 Americans have taken a break from using social media altogether. Experts say it's important to your mental health to control your exposure to stressful information on social media. They suggest disconnecting from social media for a day or 2 and making plans to reconnect with family and friends instead. If you're the type of person who really gets into a binge-worthy show, you might also be more likely to binge on junk food. Researchers found the harder people focus on something, the less likely they are to forget when to stop eating. A study from the University of Sussex split 120 people into groups of high and low-calorie drinks and then asked everyone to complete certain tasks. They're working on the most demanding tasks were most likely to overeat. This applied to participants with both low and higher calorie drinks. Get ready to scream again. Paramount Pictures announced the relaunch of the horror series, which will return Neve Campbell to her role as Sidney Prescott. Courtney Cox and David Arquette will also return to their roles. The new film will be set in the fictional location of the original Scream movies, which first hit theaters in 1996. The new film is expected to be released in January of 2022. Will Smith has released a first look photo at the upcoming reunion special for The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Smith shared this picture of him with some of the hit series regulars. The cast taped the unscripted special on Thursday to celebrate the show's 30th anniversary. The reunion special is being billed as a funny and heartfelt night full of music, dancing, and special surprise guests. It will air on HBO Max sometime around Thanksgiving. Can't believe it's been 30 years. A rare diamond could become the most valuable in the world. The 102-carat oval diamond will go up for auction at Sotheby's in Hong Kong. The diamond received top rankings in cut, color, clarity, and carat weight. The flawless diamond also received the highest grading for a white diamond, classified as D color. Diamonds of similar size and quality have received bids ranging from $12 to $30 million. How about that, Kevin?
So $30 million, that would just be 3 easy payments of $10 million.
You got that.
There's ways to break it down, make it seem more reasonable. 84 tomorrow. Thunderstorms late in the day. Mark?
All right, thanks for joining us. We'll see you back here tonight at 11.